seen it.
Welcome to Talk Law Radio with attorney Todd Marquardt of the Marquardt Law Firm at marquardtlawfirm.com.
Welcome back to Talk Law Radio. I'm Todd Marquardt on 9:30 a.m. The Answer podcasts, Facebook Live, and YouTube. We're talking with Toni O'Brien about mediation today. She's a certified mediator with her business called, what's it called?
Restoration Mediation.
It just rolls right off the tongue. The definition of mediation is in Texas Civil Practice and Remedies Code, section 154.023, which says mediation is a forum in which an impartial person, the mediator, facilitates communication between parties to promote reconciliation, settlement, or understanding among them. So let's get into some of the technical components of mediation and why those things are important. How about starting with confidentiality?
So that's an important factor, particularly when you're dealing with families, because they don't want all of their stuff out there. So I reiterate, it's in the engagement agreement, it's in the settlement agreement, it's in everything that they read, and then we discuss it at the very beginning that this is all confidential and that it can't be subpoenaed by a judge. So whatever they say, it's a safe place to say it. Mm-hmm. Of course, again, we have to put in rules, otherwise, we'd have fisticuffs sometimes. So we don't want that. But we do say, whatever you say, this isn't going to go anywhere. So, that helps them. I think it helps them feel safe. It unlike being in a courtroom or in any other litigation situation where they have to give testimony in front of a judge and a jury.
Mm-hmm. They're going to be so careful in picking the right words.
Exactly. So this is a place where they don't have to pick the words. They just need to say what they need to say, mm-hmm. so we can get past the roadblock.
Yeah. And so the law says it's confidential, and that would also be a philosophy of every mediator. So what else is important?
It's important to know to remind them that I don't have a side and I don't have any skin in the game. My goal is to help restore communication, unity. My tagline is restoring unity and dismantling division. So I want to be able to repair what's been broken, but I can't give them direction. I can give them ideas, or I can say, that's not correct, or things like that, but they really have to come to the agreement themselves. And the reason mediation works is because they did come to the agreement themselves. They have invested some thought and some time and maybe some compromises into the agreement. If I tell them what to do, then they have to do it. But mm-hmm. if they decide what to do, then they get to do it. It's a whole different perspective. So that's, I think, why it's so effective. It's because it's really them coming to an agreement, and it's signed. At the end of it, when everything is settled and everybody has decided what they want to do, what they're willing to compromise on, or where they're willing to go, it's signed. It's a signed agreement, and it's not like with court-ordered mediation, it's often then integrated into the order. But in my mediation, it isn't, but it is enforceable. So if someone breaches or decides not to do what they agreed to do, they can be taken to court and it can be enforced.
Okay. And have you ever had or met with somebody who later decided, I don't want to do that?
Yes, actually I have. And it was an interesting situation. It was an older woman who just could not wrap her head around the idea that she maybe couldn't keep doing all the things that she'd been doing her whole life. And the mediation was with her family and her to kind of get her to an understanding that she needed more help and that she couldn't, run this massive ranch. And so she kind of backed down after a couple of months. And so all it took, though, was a letter just saying and reminding her and sending her the contract and saying, you agreed to this. And so you're obligated to follow through. And she was fine. It was just, people they don't love change. It's not
Right.
It's not their favorite thing. And so anytime, and they don't like being, held their feet to the fire. But this is, better this than continuing to be in complete, disarray in the families.
Right.
Yeah.
That's great. I like to keep families together as well. I tell my clients that I want to help them reduce family conflict with their planning.
Yeah, I think that's a goal that we really need to be mindful of. One of the things that I've seen over the years is that oftentimes when people are putting estate plans together, they think, okay, well, I have to name all my kids as my agents, and and sometimes your kids are absolutely not the best person to be your agent, and that creates tension. Because there's, jealousy among the kids, or they want to have everybody be everything.
Yeah,
that
together.
that doesn't work either. So you have to, the upfront part is trying to create anything that just diminishes any opportunity for discord. But unfortunately, I've noticed over the years, people just sort of like to fight. They just enjoy the process, and chaos seems to be the order of the day. And so,
Well, you can pick your friends, but you can't pick your siblings or your parents.
true. And there's personality differences. And, there's, a couple of my siblings that probably, if I met them in another setting, we probably wouldn't be particularly close. But they're my family, so
Right.
It makes a difference, yeah.
Well, I heard a study talked about on the radio one time about how confusing it was that the children could be raised by the same parents and turn out different, could do different things, be interested in different things. And this social scientist said, well, that there's a fallacy in that thinking. The children didn't have the same parents because the parents changed also through the years, through their experience with each child and having a different personality. And the parents are also trying to adapt, to the family. And so you said there was like 20 years difference between the first and the last for you, right?
Right.
Well, those are going to be two totally different people at the end of 20 years.
They were. My sister and I were just talking about that. She was just down here from Juneau, and she's 5 years younger, and she is the second to last. And she was saying about how spoiled she was in comparison to the rest of us. And it was true. Mom and Dad were tired by the time they got to number 9. And so, there was a lot more freedom. She had a whole different curfew. Until the day I was married, my curfew was 11:30, but hers was not. And so, they were different people because, we do not stay the same. And sometimes kids put their parents in a box, and they're always that parent that they were in high school.
Right.
And so whatever angst or disagreement or thing they had against them at that point, they hang on to that person. But the parent has changed, and they're not the same person. And kids, I think, more than the parents, but I think kids have a hard time recognizing that their parents are changed.
Well, this is why I really like to talk about the gospel, because of the grace that God showed us by forgiving us even when we didn't deserve it. It's a model for us to try and follow with our family members, is to give them some grace and forgive them even if they don't deserve it.
And forgive, doesn't always mean forget, but what I've noticed in my own life is forgiveness allows me, so if if the remembrance comes, it doesn't hurt so much. It's not a big deal, and you get past the difficulty, and you are able to unforgiveness really holds you hostage. The other person doesn't even sometimes know that you're mad at them. And so it's only holding you hostage. And so forgiveness is freedom. And that's why it's so important with the families to get past those disputes and past those angry thoughts against each other, because at the end of the day, when your mom and dad die, you only have your siblings. And so there needs to be that, you need to hold each other up through the grieving process.
Yeah. What I used to tell the kids when they were babies is, hey, the sibling is maybe the only person that can give you a kidney. Mine might not work, but you guys, you have more similar genetic traits. And so, you want to be nice to him so that he might give you his kidney.
Just in case you need something.
Yeah.
Yeah, that works.
But can you describe the feeling from your perspective when you see a disgruntled family member finally come together and hug each other at the end?
It's such an amazing feeling, and I truly feel truly humbled, because I know that, lots of things were happening in the background that didn't have anything to do with me. I know that whatever outcome, God's in the middle of it. I pray before I mediate. I pray about the people I'm mediating with, because I really, really want what's best for them. And so when it does work, I just know that, that there was a hand in it that really brought this family together. And to see people hug who haven't even talked to each other in years, it's extraordinary.
That's a miracle.
Yeah, it's a miracle.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay, well, we got to take another break. When we come back, we'll be talking more about mediation with Toni O'Brien. And we'll talk about legacy. Stay tuned.
This has been Talk Law Radio with attorney Todd Marquardt, brought to you by the Marquardt Law Firm. You can learn more at marquardtlawfirm.com. And be sure to listen to the full Talk Law Radio show Saturday mornings at 11 on 9:30 a.m. The Answer.
Each week, attorney Todd Marquardt talks about the law. His mission with the Talk Law Radio show and podcast is to help you discover your legal issue blind spots. In the beginning, God had one law. Don't eat from the fruit of that tree. Then came the 10 Commandments. Now we have federal, state, and municipal lawmakers that won't stop creating new laws. Laws that might impact you without you knowing it. Listen to the show and drop a line on Facebook or email host@talklawradio.com and let the host know what you think of the show, the topics you want to hear, and whether you want to be a guest.